Too sweet!
Hi, welcome to JD Sports. I'm Jarrett. That's Dwight Garfield. You can find our personal Twitters at the show's Twitter page, which is @_JD Sports. Dwight,
What's up?
how was your birthday, my man?
It was fantastic.
You know, it was. I got to do something this weekend that I haven't got to do in a long time. Right? Let me just tell you, it was your birthday. Okay,
It was
your
my
birthday
birthday.
weekend.
Which, honestly, I need to say really quick.
Yeah, no.
It's actually one of the more memorable birthdays I've had in recent years. Honestly, overall, it was just
I'm glad to
a
hear that.
great time. Everything was on point. Shout out to everybody, friends, family. It was a good time.
So, what I was gonna say is it was your birthday weekend, right? But here's how my weekend went. Okay, I got to go out dancing for the first time in a long time. Okay,
Heard that.
Drunk.
Me too. Me
drunk.
too.
Okay, drunk.
Me too.
And then I got to watch football all day on Sunday with my boy for the first time in a long time. You would think it was my birthday. I was hanging out with you all weekend. It was definitely
It was a
one
good
of the. It was off the hook. I had a great time. Glad to be a part of it.
I mean, I appreciate you being there.
Oh,
I mean,
no doubt. Every day of the week.
You already know.
Yeah.
I love to dance. So.
Right.
And the last time I really danced was with you, which was probably back in June?
Yeah, we had a streak there for a while. We were doing that for almost every weekend.
Yeah.
We were having a little good time. But I'm glad that we were able to get out there and do it again. Like you said, it was a good time. Shout out to everybody who came.
Definitely, absolutely.
So I'm glad to, again, happy birthday.
Appreciate it. Appreciate all the love I got.
The boys got the win on your birthday. We're definitely.
Boys got the win. Birds got the loss.
Yeah, we'll get into all that.
It was my birthday.
So on top of your birthday this week, we have it's a huge election week, right? And I'm not going to get into politics, but Mike Golick happened to say, he was going to write in Theo Epstein as the president, which I like that, right? If you had to think of a current athlete, or somebody, not even just athlete, somebody in sports that you would pick to be your write-in president, who would you pick?
I'm going to make America woo again and go Ric Flair.
You're going Ric Flair. Ooh, wow, that's a very
It's been a big campaign for him. Have you seen it on the internet?
Yes, I have.
I would make America woo again.
Donald Trump had people going kind of side to side. That would be a guy that really would get the crowd, everyone fired up.
Yeah.
I don't.
A little late on his
honestly,
part, but
when I thought of this the other day, I really thought you were going with a wrestler. So I'm glad that you did that. I would pick Greg Popovich.
I don't hate it because I understand.
Or Bill Belichick.
Of the two, I'd probably say
together.
Pop. I'd probably say Pop.
Or together.
Can one be the
vice?
Yeah.
See, the thing is, I don't think one of them would be the vice. Like if it was
too
Pop,
much ego
it would be Pop and Duncan, and if it was Belichick, it would be Belichick and Brady. Without question, those would be the running mates. Did you see Popovich say that him and Tim Duncan still text back and forth like they're quote unquote in love? He said that they use emojis. He said they use emojis.
Only kissy winky faces.
I love it. And
so full of
Pop
shit.
is
Shut up, Pop.
He's awesome. But yeah, he's who I would vote. Him or Sam Hinski. But I know that America wouldn't be able to get behind him. So quickly before we get into football,
Word.
I want to talk a little bit of baseball.
Definitely, it's well overdue.
Not only did we get probably, and this is not, Greeny likes to overstate things, and I know that. This is not just me overstating. That was the greatest Game 7 that I have ever watched. I'm not old enough to watch the 91 World Series where it was the 1-0 walk-off home run in the 10th inning, Smoltz pitches 9 innings and a loss. Incredible 9-inning shutout and a loss, but 10th inning loss. That is known as one of the top 3 greatest baseball games. What we saw last week is also known as it's in that top 3. Maserati with the home run for the Pirates against the Red Sox back in the 60s is known as the greatest baseball game of all time. But I think that game was 9-8 as well. Like it was a high scoring run like this one was. The other one was 1-0, the one in 91. Now I'm not old enough to remember the one in 91. That is known as one of the greatest as well. For me, this one that we watched last week, the Cubs Indians greatest of all time. Yeah. On top of that, back in March I did pick the Cubs to win the World Series. So
you did, which is just
I'm feeling kind of good about how that happened.
That's really unthinkable.
That was an incredible season. And now, if you would have told me that they would have lost Schwarber, who is their best player, if you would have told me that they lost him, 3 games into the season, for the entire season, I don't know if I would have changed my vote because Rizzo and Rizzo and Chris Bryant are both MVP worthy candidates, and I already knew that, but it would have had me definitely thinking about swaying my opinion. Now, they do it. They go through the whole season. They have the unforeseeable thing of 3 days in, Schwarber goes down. They do have those two step up as they are MVP candidates, which is awesome. They make it the whole way to the World Series, and they do the unthinkable. Going back to Cleveland, I said that, with Schwarber being back in the lineup, it was almost at a disadvantage for the Indians. Down 3-1, but once they didn't close out in Chicago, I was saying that it was going to be hard because Schwarber does add that much. They are the best lineup in baseball. If they were in the AL, they would have probably broken the records for wins because their pitching staff also, unfortunately, you did not see Kyle Hendricks being the Cy Young caliber that he was. You knew John Lester was going to be really good, but you thought Arrieta would be the best out of all of them, and he comes in third place between the three of them, and they are three really good pitchers who had really good years. Two of them 20-game winners. Arrieta, pretty sure, won 15. So they had an incredible dream season. Joe Maddon, really, really good manager, overmanaged himself there in those late games. They won.
I was going to say, it was...
But Francona was the clear-cut better manager in those games. He didn't overcoach. He didn't overanalyze. He didn't do anything that, he did bring his closer in early. He did bring his, short relievers in quick. But, at the same time, he didn't do anything too overreaching where Maddon, if they would have lost that game, there's so many things that you could have pointed to of why they would have lost because of him.
Dude, in that final game alone, pulling
hard.
The pitcher early on.
Kyle Hendricks.
Which I understood the mindset initially when it was like, okay, let's get a reliever coming up, but then when he closed it out,
who they brought in, that they shouldn't, he would have still been there. He's a starter.
Right,
he still would have been there.
Stick with the guy that ended up bailing out in the end and breaking even.
I tweeted the second he was walking out to that mound, I would never have done that. I would never have pulled Hendricks out in that case.
Yeah.
No pitcher in this World Series went over 6 innings. It's the first time in the history of the World Series that no pitcher went over 6 innings. No starting pitcher pitched over 6 innings. That's incredible because it went 7 games.
Yeah.
On top of it, both teams scored the same amount of runs. I'm pretty sure they both scored 27 runs in the series. So you want to talk about how close this series really was. It's incredible. Yeah, but Maddon definitely kind of overmanaged himself. Still won the World Series.
He lucked himself into a job.
That good. Now, on the flip side, is I saw people after the game or after the World Series like, oh, Maddon, he's not that. He's not this. He's not that. Look, he was the perfect guy for this team. They are so young. Okay, they only have I think 2 guys over the age of 27, and I think they only have 3 guys over the age of between 25 and 27. So that's looking at a combined 5 guys on that roster over 25. That's incredible. My thing is he was able to keep them. They had the expectations from guys like me that they were going to win the World Series all year long, and he kept them in check. They had the Schwarber injury. He kept them, still playing at a high level. Yet, and they were all young. He was able to get them to that point. So yes, while he overmanaged and he overreached, people do bad things in pressure situations, and he definitely made really big mistakes, costly mistakes, but his team was good enough to overcome and win it. They're not there without him though. So on top of it, I want to, people need to stop with that. And on the other thing I wanted to say was Theo Epstein is, for my money, probably the greatest GM in all of sports of my lifetime. 86-year curse.
Young boy too. Young boy.
Yeah, under 45. 86-year curse.
He looks like he's on a 30.
Right? Yeah, exactly. 86-year curse in Boston. He broke it.
Check.
In 5 years.
Check.
108-year curse in Chicago. He broke it in 5 years.
Wow.
When he took the team over, they had 112 losses the first year he took the team over. They won the world. They had over 100 wins this year, and they won the World Series. It's incredible. He is one of my favorite people in all sports. You know how we always talk about Gronk and how he gets away with partying, he does this and he does that.
Yeah.
Not only is Theo, for my money, just fascinating. I'm fascinated with Theo Epstein as the GM, as the baseball guy. I every move he makes, a lot of things he does. I love Theo. I'm a huge Theo fan, right? He took a month off. He told them he's going to take a month off, right, after the World Series. He handed over the president job for a month. He is going to do nothing but party for the entire month. What he did was he ordered a goat, a 10-pound goat or a 9-pound goat, and they ate it with the World Series trophy in the bleachers at Wrigley, him and about 5 of his buddies. The day after the World Series, when everybody came back on the plane, he showed up to Wrigley Field, came into the president's office, where a bunch of them were standing around doing press stuff, with a teddy bear head, okay? A bottle of champagne, and he opened it and poured it on his head in the middle of the people just doing this meeting. He was drunk at like 10 o'clock in the morning that day. He is one of my favorite people in sports for what he does in sports. This is making him one of my favorite people in sports outside of that. To see him party like this is incredible. Like you said, he is young. He looks super young. His wife is young. His kid is young. He is just, and he's living the dream. Theo, like I said, for my money, he might be the best GM in all sports. Now, while I don't think he could do what Billy Beane does out in Oakland, or the guy in Kansas City, what he does with the very, very small salary, because look, he took over 2 wealthy franchises and got them to do something. But I don't think that Billy Beane could also take over these huge number of franchises and do the same thing that Theo does. Theo has done it more efficiently than anybody else in the history of baseball. Yes, I had this argument. What he would probably do with Yankee money is put together a 20-year dynasty the way he's doing this with, what he did with the Red Sox and the you know what I mean?
Probably.
Yes, he's doing incredible things with a lot of money, and yes, he has the advantage of that Kansas City and Oakland doesn't. And Billy Beane, yes, takes his team very far, no doubt, with what he has. But I don't think that Billy Beane could come over and do what Theo Epstein did. Look, 40-plus managers tried to do what Theo Epstein did. He did it for, that's combined in those two, 40-plus GMs combined for those 2 franchises tried to do what he did. He did it in 10 years combined for the 2. So, don't give me, that he could just walk over. And yes, I think Billy Beane is one of the greatest GMs of all time, but for me, Theo is probably the greatest GM of all time in sports, and definitely of my lifetime in sports. This is up with the Bill Polians of the world, and him putting together the Colts with everybody knowing how miserable their ownership situation is. So for him to be able to do, it's known as one of the greatest GM jobs in the world. Yes, he did a lot with Peyton Manning, and of course the head coach Herm, but you got to be the guy to do it. You got to be the guy to be able to get them there. And in those cases, they were so.
Correct. Damn. I don't even know where to begin. First and foremost, shout out to you because you got this right.
Yes.
And I called you out on it.
Yes.
But you stuck with
back in March.
We know, niggas. Calm down, breathe. Let me talk. You had your 20 minutes to talk. Can I talk for 5 minutes? Okay. Shout out to you because you had your moment and you got it and you deserve it. And all I can do is do this right now, and this is the only time you ever want to see that because nobody outside of you and Tony Kornheiser fucking called this at the beginning of the season. So shout out to you. Especially when there's 108 years.
That's incredible.
Yeah, you definitely deserve all that credit for picking them in that situation. As far as you saying that this was the best baseball game, especially World Series game that you've ever seen. I don't watch that much baseball, but when I was paying attention to this series and that game in particular, the only thing whereas I would agree that it was a very good game, it was a very good series, the only thing that I didn't like was that it went way too long.
I agree.
Because I couldn't stay up for that. And that's my biggest regret about that game is that I wanted to watch the entire game, but come 11 o'clock, I'm beat because I gotta be up for work in the morning like any other normal human being that lives on the East Coast. Eventually I just threw in the towel and said, you know what, I got responsibilities, I can't do this, I'm out. And that shit went on till 12:45 in the morning, our time. And
I stayed up.
And more power to you, but I just wasn't having that. So baseball needs to figure that out first and foremost. What else are we talking about? Theo Epstein, as far as he's concerned, there's no arguing that. I feel like he's definitely... Even as a non-baseball fan, I can look at it objectively and say, he's done a hell of a job, clearly, especially for the Cubs organization, let alone his entire career. He's clearly number one, if not 2 or 3. He's definitely top 3 manager, GM, whatever the hell he is, in all of sports in America. So you got to shout to him. And the fact that he's young, the fact that the entire team's young, you would think that they would only keep rolling, keep building on this. And the fact that now they have a World Series win, you would think that, okay, now we're going to start to attract those free agents. You know, we got a little bit of money. We don't got the Yankee money. Clearly, they never will.
Right.
They don't got the Red Sox money. They never will. But we're Chicago, and
they might get some good money. You know, they're gonna have.
Well, now,
money.
maybe,
exactly. Yeah.
Now, but we're Chicago,
right.
And now we got the W.
Right.
Now we got one of them things.
Right.
Maybe we can get another one of them things. Maybe we can get the free agents and say, you know what? You know, now Chicago really is more of an option because they've proven that they can win without me. So if I'm a great player, I'm a free agent.
Yep.
Why would I not look at Chicago just as much as I look at New York or Boston and say, you know what? If they can win without me, what the hell are they going to do with me?
Wrigley's historical, exactly.
Absolutely. Now they have more of that basis of a history to continue to build. And you're talking about age.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of ridiculous because I already heard the word dynasty from people, and calm down. Let's pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. I get they're young, but let's pump the brakes. We said the same thing about San Francisco, the 49ers. We said the same thing about the Seattle Seahawks, which, I mean, that's kind of unproven. But my point is, calm down, pump the brakes. Let's see what happens. But you can't deny the fact that the Chicago Cubs have the foundation to build towards that. That is without question.
Yeah.
And I won't dare argue
You're
that.
talking about free agents. Last year, they brought in the most anticipated free agent in the history of the Cubs, Jason Hayward. He had the biggest contract in the history of the Cubs organization. He actually had a miserable World Series at the plate, but he made a huge catch in Game 7. He was there for defensive purposes, and they said that it's ironic to me because he had a really bad playoffs. He hasn't been hitting well for the last year and a half. I don't know why. Yeah. Nobody really can figure it out. He's a good baseball player. He's a great fielder still, all season long. Been amazing in the field. So they kept him in there in Game 7. He made a great catch in the rain delay going into the 10th inning.
That was the other thing.
Apparently he was the one who stood up. We're going to talk about that in a second. He was the one who stood up in the locker room. He held a players-only meeting, and he talked the whole time. And he's the one who got them all kind of back together collectively. They just blew that big lead. They said that without him saying that, saying the things that he does, they don't win that game. And then
on the other side, they were like, well, this wasn't a factor.
Right. And no, it was.
Yeah,
now,
definitely. That's a huge factor.
I agree with you. Look, the rain delay was a problem because it stopped raining right before they pulled the tarp out, and then it didn't rain at all while they had the tarp out. Look, as a Phillies fan, from 2008, the only World Series of my lifetime, the only championship, the only major championship of my lifetime, my teams that I like, the Phillies started a game on a Tuesday and they won it on a Thursday. That was their World Series because they canceled the game in the 6th inning. They called the game for a delay. And the Phillies came back. They had a shortened game. It was a 2.5, 3 inning game. They win the game. They win the World Series. It was amazing.
It's a completely different game.
Yeah, exactly. And it was very frustrating. Look, Joe Maddon was actually the manager of the Rays at the time, the team the Phillies beat. He said the story pretty well. I always look at it from a Phillies fan's perspective. It was frustrating. It was frustrating as a fan who won the World Series, who won that game. It was frustrating because we all wanted it that night, obviously, and it was just the most. It was the most heartbreaking thing. We waited so long. I waited my whole entire life. I watched sports religiously, and here I am. I got to wait another day, and then the next day it didn't even rain. They canceled it. Everyone was going to go to the ballpark. They canceled in the morning. They canceled at like noon. So nobody goes to the ballpark that night. It didn't rain. It didn't rain at all. So then they play it the next night. It was 10 degrees colder, if I'm not mistaken. It was horrible. It was a bad call by the MLB. Ever since they blundered that, they tried to do weather a lot better. And the weather came in a half hour early this time around. They did not expect it to come like that. But look, you didn't cancel it in pouring down rain in the 7th or 8th inning. In the 9th inning, going into the 10th, it wasn't pouring as hard. I don't know why. If you didn't cancel it 2 innings ago, why would you cancel it then? The game was already going long enough because of all the hits that were happening, because of all the runs that were scoring, because of the drama itself. I call it the best game of my lifetime that I ever watched because of the magnitude, because of how many years were on the line for both teams.
Right. Yeah.
86 years now is the longest drought in baseball. That belongs to the Indians. So... all the drama that was on the line, I get it. It was super drawn out. They just need to move these games up. Move them to 7 o'clock East Coast time. I don't see why. 7 o'clock East Coast time is not... Look, that's 4 o'clock West Coast time. That's That's 6 o'clock Central Time, so Chicago would have had it at 6 o'clock. I don't see why you couldn't just move it up 1 hour.
Baseball needs to figure it out. I don't know if it's moving up 1 hour. I don't know if it's decreasing innings.
Because
I don't know what the situation is. I don't care what the solution is. It's not my job to figure it out.
Because I think moving it up, look, that
5
game,
hours
you don't care.
is too much.
I know what you're saying, that 5 hours is too much.
Far too much.
But for Game 7 of the World Series,
No.
I didn't mind it one bit for it being that long. I really didn't. I could have went another 5 hours and I would have been okay with it.
That's not okay.
But I just wanted it to be earlier.
People have lives.
I just wanted it to be earlier.
No, people have lives. They need to cut it down. I don't know if it's the innings that you need decreased. Cut it down to 7. I don't know what it is. And then I don't know what the solution is. It's not my job to figure it out. But what I'm saying is that 4 or 5 hour games just isn't necessary. Especially like you said, these games are starting so much late on the East Coast, and it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. And most people are like, okay, I have a choice here. Do I go to bed because I got to work, or do I just say fuck because it's historical? I said, sorry, fuck the history. I'm going to bed because I got responsibilities, and I'm just trying to be rested for work. Like, people just don't want to have to make a decision. So baseball needs to make that decision for us. Either bring it back, an hour or whatever you need to do, or cut the innings.
Well,
it's too damn long. There's no reason. I don't want to see a damn football game or a basketball game go 5 hours. I damn sure don't want to see a sport that I kind of don't have interest in to begin with go 5, which is already too damn long.
Well, that's why hockey wins out of everybody, because they have the shortest games.
Good.
Most compact games.
It needs to be short.
Now,
cut it down 2 hours.
Moving on from baseball. Congratulations to the Cubs. It was a great story. I could go all day about this team.
Shout out to their fans.
In depth with it. I'm most excited that next March is going to be back around and the Phillies will be back. And no? Okay. Well, speaking of mediocre organizations, we're going to talk about the Cowboys for a second.
That's cute that you said that when we were top of the division in the conference of the NFL.
Now.
Wenzel. Sorry, something got
You
caught
love
my
Michael Jackson.
Something got caught in my throat.
Jerry Jones continues to moonwalk out of this Tony Romo question. I mean, no one can pin him down.
I think the moonwalk has been complete. I think he's on the spin and he's on his tippy toes at this
Is
point.
he?
Yeah, he abandoned it. It's done. It's over. I don't even think it's a conversation at this point because he pretty much said we're playing it day to day now or whatever. It's not even a conversation at this point. At this point, he understands that. He keeps saying we, but it's him. He's the one, like I keep saying, he's the one who wants Tony Romo. I don't think anybody else gives a shit. I think everybody else is saying, are you kidding me? We're going with Dak.
Well, the Browns want Tony Romo.
He's the one.
The Browns definitely wish Tony Romo was out there.
Jerry Jones keeps going with the situation that I want Tony Romo. I'm going Tony Romo, but he has no more excuses, so now he's saying we're just going to play it by ear. We're going to play it day to day and see what happens. He's sticking with Dak. I think it's over. Well, he's not moonwalking. When he's spinning, he's on his toes. It's over.
I don't think it matters who is going to be taking the snaps, because as long as Zeke Elliott keeps having games the way that he's had the last couple of weeks.
No, wait. It's only the offensive line. It's just no such thing as a good quarterback in Dallas. It's only the offensive line.
It could be any of that. All I know is Zeke leads the league in jersey sales.
That means nothing to me. That means absolutely nothing to me, because to me that's ridiculous because, Wentz was number one at one point as well. So, it's kind of ridiculous. Dak is also in the top 5 of jersey sales. I think that's ridiculous. Like, pump the brakes.
Tacklemania.
As long as I don't have to hear anything about Pennsylvania anymore.
So,
I don't care what it is.
Dak killing it. Dak had a great game on Sunday. I know it was against the Browns, but that was one of those letdown games that they did not have.
I'm surprised. I'm actually very surprised.
Good overall as an entire team. They looked very good.
They looked very good against a team. Yeah, they look very good against a team that they should look very good against. I was actually surprised they didn't crumble. So shout out to them for actually sticking through. But honestly, if I'm being an objective person, which I'm going to be, if you look at the teams we've beaten, it's not overly impressive. The record of all the teams that we played isn't that great.
So you're saying this week is a big week. They're playing Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh.
Yes, depending upon how good Ben is, on how healthy he is. Yeah. Honestly, time out. I think beating Green Bay and Lambeau, despite how the year's looking, is a huge deal. I agree. I think the divisional games are always a toss-up.
If you beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh and you have the win in Lambeau,
that's huge. Plus we beat was it Seattle?
They're are they 2-1 in the division right now? They beat Washington, right? They're 2-1 in the division.
Yeah. We lost to the Giants by 1 point, which we should have won by a field goal, but Terrence Williams.
That was the game 1. That was the first game of the season.
Right. So, I mean, in theory, we should be undefeated, but it is what it is. But in hindsight, looking at our competition and looking the past several weeks, we're not really beating anybody record-wise, for real. So, how good are we? I don't know. We're just going to have to keep seeing what happens.
They're playing extremely well, though.
You got to keep going.
They're playing extremely well.
Like I've been saying, the hardest part of our schedule is over outside of our division.
Right.
So we're just going to have to wait.
Into the playoffs this year.
Come December, January is when you can really judge the Cowboys. Are they good or are they just a product of their...
That's how the NFL rolls. I agree with that.
Right. Are they good or are they a product of their schedule? Which right now, they might just be a product of their schedule. Bro, if you look at... Everybody keeps talking about how... You keep talking about how great the Eagles defense is, which I think is a load of crack. But...
Really? They played really well this weekend.
But you know what's really a load of crack? Worse than that is Cowboys are actually top 10 in defense.
Yeah.
Does anybody buy that? Because I damn sure don't. Nobody buys that.
It's because the amount of time they're on the field. That's why they're top 10. It's because the amount of time
I don't look at that. I'm talking about...
on the field all that much. I know what you're saying.
Stop looking at the time of possession. I'm telling you, look at their defense. Do you think that...
Football.
Stop looking at that. Do you think they're a top 10 defense?
No.
Thank you. Questions answered. So therefore... It's kind of a joke in that situation, but then when you see who we played, you understand, okay, well, up to this point, they're going to mellow out, and eventually the defense is just going to fall off because they're not a top 10 defense. Get the hell out of here. And they're actually a top 5, and they're actually number 4 in points allowed.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
I damn sure would have never guessed that, but I think it's going to mellow
out.
out.
When you run the ball well. That's what happens when you run the ball well. It makes your defense so much better. And it's exactly what happened 2 years ago with DeMarco. I mean, remember how mediocre your defense really was? But look at how... Look, the biggest thing...
Except
biggest thing they did...
The offense was even better than it is.
I agree. But the biggest thing that they were doing back then, and I see it happening now, is they're getting 3 and outs. They get 2 or 3 and outs every half, and that's a big deal. It keeps them off the field as well, what their offense is doing. It's not that they're not out there making the plays. You were saying product of the schedule, or, can you be optimistic for the second half type thing. Look,
we're a product of our schedule.
The thing I can hang my hat on as an Eagles fan is how close all the losses were, and you still have half the season left to correct these things. Now, the problem is you have this many losses, and you have half the season left. That puts you in a really bad position, especially a week going into playing a team like Atlanta. 3 losses in division. I think that the Eagles put themselves so far behind the 8 ball at that point that they have to win all 3 division games in the second half, and they really need to come out and win 2 more games on top of that. It's going to be almost impossible in the playoffs. The position that they put themselves in, and all the losses are correctable losses too. That's what's sad. The Wentz interceptions early in this week against the Giants took them out of the game early. They were playing down 14-0 the whole time. They looked like they were dominating the game from that moment forward, but that's not enough. I mean, they were down 14-0 from the jump before 5 minutes of the game. You're not gonna win that way. He looked really good other than those 2 plays, but those 2 plays were just. They weren't good. Odell getting wide open too.
Yeah, he looked. I mean,
Odell
Wentz looked rough early on.
Early, yes, I agree. I absolutely agree. I think that he was trying to overthrow them on one of the plays, and he just sailed it right into a defender's hand. Odell just had an Odell type game. He balled over the Eagles early. Not often,
That's
but
top 5 Eagles defense.
But other than that play, other than the play that he went running wide open, I thought they played a really good game.
You just said he balled out.
He balled out early. Like I said, not often early. Not often. Early, though. He did. Early.
Apparently, the Giants balled out enough to get the W.
Well, when they were up 14-0, the Eagles were playing from behind from that moment. Their offense... Now, their offense looked good. They looked like they were moving the ball, but they couldn't score inside the 20s. I did not like the play calls on 4th down. I did not like the play calls inside the 20s, and I'm not a huge fan. I'm not going with the play calls, but people called Pederson...
Wait, time out, come on. You don't like to get on the coaches about the play calling.
I don't like that at all. I hate to do that.
But you just said that the play calling was miserable.
It was really bad on 4th down.
It was miserable.
But here's the thing.
Horrible.
Here's the thing.
And Chip Kelly, the Messiah, would have got them calls right.
And I think so. Here's the thing.
I would smack shit out you just for saying that.
Here's the thing. He was told that he wasn't...
dead-ass serious, people. I'm glad you stick it to the Messiah thing now.
They said that... I don't think he's the Messiah. They said
They said continue.
They said that Pederson wasn't aggressive enough in the Dallas game, right? And now everyone's saying that he was too aggressive in this game. I don't like the back and forth. Look,
There's a difference between being aggressive and just being stupid. His calls were just stupid.
If he kicks the field goals every time, they do win the game. That's hindsight's 20/20 though. He doesn't know that at the time.
Right. Yeah.
I don't like the play calls on fourth. I don't mind that he went for it on fourth down. On top of it, he's gonna find his way. Look, he wasn't aggressive enough in Dallas. He was too aggressive in New York. Well, then that just means he will eventually find that middle ground. We gotta remember, there's only 8 games into his career. It's pump the brakes. Wentz as well is trying to learn. Those 2 early picks don't happen. Hopefully he learns and they don't happen from here on out. And the Eagles don't put themselves down 14-0. Like I said, they got to win all 3 games in division. They got to win a couple of other games on top of like 2, maybe 3 of the next 8.
You know what I hate? You know what I hate the most about you Philadelphia fans is your Philadelphia optimism, because I heard the same exact swan song or woe was me story a year ago about Chip Kelly. Because it's never just, you know what, it's not working out, or it is working out. It's always, well, if we just do this, this is y'all movement. It's the first time I got to do it all year. Oh, if we just do this, then it will just work out. And we'll have Pennsylvania again, which, by the way, I'm so glad. 2 things, real quick. I'm so glad I don't have to hear this Pennsylvania bullshit anymore. I'm so glad I got cut. Second of all, the fact that y'all been losing has meant that y'all, as a fan base, have been quiet as shit. So anytime that y'all are quiet as shit and get to tone it down, which goes into the Pennsylvania thing, it just makes me a happy person, and I live better knowing that y'all shut the fuck up a little bit, because y'all, like I said a couple weeks ago, I said tone it down. You kept going no, and I said tone it down.
You. Hold on. What do I always tell you? I was on the. I understood. What did I say after the Pittsburgh loss?
Tone it down.
What did I say after the Pittsburgh loss?
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but what did I also say?
Pennsylvania.
I had an understanding of how early it was in the season and
this
how
is what y'all do. I've been saying this forever.
Now, I was understanding and I was following. Now, here's my thing. Good news for the Eagles. For the first time in 4 weeks, they're not playing a team coming off a bye. Bad news is they're playing an Atlanta team who played last Thursday, who still has a lot of time in between. And
that is a much better team on paper.
They put up 50 points in Tampa. I was watching the game on Thursday. So, yeah.
And that's the division rival.
Yeah.
Philly don't mean anything to them. So I guess that top 5 defense, though. So I guess Eagles have a fighting chance.
I'm hoping Julio doesn't put up like 250.
Against those corners?
What are you going to have to do? You're going to have to put Malcolm Jenkins down on him, because that's my biggest worry now. Honestly, see, I was scared because, AB had 110 on them, but AB really didn't beat the Eagles. Do you know what I mean? Like, Antonio Brown, he's the best receiver in the league, and they did pretty well against him. They didn't do good against Odell, but they did do good against Dez. So I'm kind of like in the air. Dez had a big catch for a touchdown, though, so it's like, hit or miss. It's all about the pressure that they're putting on the quarterback. It's not really has anything to do with the secondary. Outside of Malcolm Jenkins, they don't have a good secondary. It's just how good the front 7 is. You know what I mean? That's what's been doing it all season for them. Now,
I remember why Eagles talk gives me indigestion, because y'all logic is just cute.
What? Get a little pressure on Matt Ryan. Good offensive line, Atlanta. Underrated offensive line up until this point. They're not running the ball as they were last year, but they are pass protecting Matt Ryan. He stayed pretty clean overall, and he was getting sacked a lot last year. So that's been the difference for them when they're winning.
The difference for this game, which we're going to get to, but we might as well just get to it now. The difference is going to be, like you just said, you're talking about, we need to shut down Julio. Okay, that's just going to open other people, because honestly, I don't think your corners or your safety with the help defense can stop Julio. Let alone,
it's going to be on the front 7 getting pressure on Matt Ryan, so he has bad passes so that they don't get into those good wide receivers. I agree.
Time out. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your receivers defending the wide receivers. And even if we do shut down Julio Jones, that's just going to open up other wideouts on Atlanta. Not that they have anything spectacular, but the fact that your corners just are even worse on that end of the ball tells me Atlanta has that advantage.
Yes, I agree.
So,
I agree.
Advantage goes to Atlanta.
I agree with that. The thing that the Eagles are
going to talk about pressure and all this shit. I'm not talking about
Ryan, so he can't get into those receivers. Because I agree. I think they're going to have guys running open. I really do. I think they're going to have guys running open. The Eagles have the last 2 weeks had let guys run open.
Matt Ryan's being protected up until this point. So what's going to change?
Well, hopefully the Eagles defense.
That top 5, I get it.
Hopefully they get a little more pressure on them.
So a week from now, when we're talking about whether the Eagles won or the Eagles lost, we're going to be talking about this top 5 defense, and then we're going to see.
Good news is
how top 5 they actually are, which is a lot of shit to me.
Good news is.
What?
I'll be in the stadium. I'm going to my first Eagles home game.
Well, that's what's up.
For a regular season game. in about 8 years. I went last year in Washington for the first time in about 5 or 6 years, it was on a whim. It was just the weekend before.
Right.
I just, all right, let's go. This time we bought tickets. Me and my buddy bought tickets in July.
I won't hate on that.
I'm very excited, very nervous. Can't wait though.
You should be.
It's going to be the best seats I've ever sat at because my boy, he can get it like that a little bit. He got a little bit. So, he hooked us up, got us some great tickets. I'm very excited. Cannot wait to be there. It's going to be crazy. They say it's the most anticipated game at the Link this year. Has the highest priced tickets on it on StubHub going into it this week. So that's pretty exciting. Though I think that
up until this point, let's see what
the
Dallas game does.
Right, exactly. Let's wait to see what the Dallas game has on the line for it. But I
can see it up until this point.
It's going to be wild. Hopefully they come out with the win. Carson Wentz got to look a little better than he did early on, and the defense, like I said, got to get that pressure. We'll see. Now, moving on, staying to last week because we're going to get to our picks eventually. But the Monday night game had something really big happen in it.
I hate the NFL.
If they add another official, does he see that Richard Sherman
really
roughed the kicker?
Really? Was that rhetorical? I know you're not. Okay,
Yeah.
I was gonna say I know you're not stupid.
So here's my thing.
Like,
I want to talk about the officials here in a second. I do. Can we before we talk about the officials? Can we please just for 1 second acknowledge the fact that Richard Sherman he crossed the line. Look, my man,
what play are we talking about?
The one on the.
We're talking about the field goal.
We're talking about the field goal. He had his hand on the ball, and then instead he dove into the kicker. That is intentionally trying to hurt somebody, and that
yes.
I have a problem with that.
I think
I have. Okay. I don't care if look.
No,
these
you're
kickers,
about to justify this, but I'm actually on your side about this.
These kickers. The only thing that they have is their legs. That is their money maker. Like that is you are playing with a man and his family's money. If you seriously injure him, now my issue is the kicker. He put his team in a really bad position by laying there and playing like he was hurt. I don't know if he was actually hurt or not, but then he ends up having to sit out for a play. So then they have to do this weird thing like spike the ball. Then they have to delay the game. But back to the original point of Richard Sherman. That's dirty, man. That's dirty. And I always go back and I never really have been a fan of Richard Sherman, but I've always respected his play. I don't respect that. That's trying to injure a player. Talk about safety, NFL. You should just be able to throw a flag for the fact that he tried to injure him. One of my favorite things about the NHL is they have a rule, right, on their boarding penalties that the commissioner and a group of people look at it, and if it was intent to hurt a player, you get suspended for 10 games. The first year that they did this, they had almost 50 suspensions. Last year, they only had 2. There is ways to fix it.
The reason why I was calling timeout, because
none of that stuff happens if the flag, and I know you're going with that, right?
No, you don't. Skirt. Timeout.
I want to hear it.
First of all, because we just need to clear this, because nobody wants to talk about this.
Right.
And even watching it live, which I did, he's hurt, the kicker's hurt. He was faking it.
I agree.
Let's
I agree. Can we just put his team in a bad position by doing that?
Can we just clear out the fact that he was faking it?
Completely agree.
He went down like he was what's his name?
Not Gruden, the other guy.
Whoever the hell was saying he's in agony. I was like, oh damn, he actually looked like he got messed up. What happened? Popped back up as soon as he saw there was a flag, and I was like, oh, I see what's going on here. But then they kept saying he's hurt, and even the day after, he's hurt, he was hurt. No, he was not. He was faking it. Number one. Just want to clear that up because nobody wants to say that.
Put his team in a really bad position by doing that.
Nope. Right. Nobody wants to say that. It's like, really? We're not flopping. Hello, flopping with injury. But clearly, okay, that was number one. Number two, clearly Richard Sherman. There should have been a flag on play. That was unnecessary. Okay, and number three, they want to talk about how, well, it wasn't roughing the kicker because it was offsides and the play, didn't. Okay, so.
That's unabated to the quarterback.
Guess what?
What's the difference?
The other thing nobody wants to talk about because they want to say it wasn't roughing the kicker because it was offsides. How about unnecessary roughness?
Yeah.
How about unsportsmanlike conduct?
Yeah.
right there. Any other time the officials would throw that type of flag, but because they're so focused on it's not roughing a kicker. But what about these two other calls that they could have very well been and what it looked like, which was unsportsmanlike or it was more so unnecessary roughness.
Yeah.
Come on now. You're going at my man's legs. That's his livelihood. As you said, why did the NFL ignore that? That's not acceptable. But nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody is talking about that, and that's bullshit to me.
If that was third down...
Outside of Homeboy's wife, which that's another conversation.
If that was third down and a player comes flying off sides, and that's Tom Brady back there, and the flag comes out, that's unabated to the quarterback, a 15-yard penalty every time. What is the difference?
Because it's a kicker.
And Richard Sherman needs to stop. Richard Sherman was getting mad at the refs a couple plays before that for some non-call. Look, man, you didn't get called when you literally pulled Julio Jones' arms down on the last play of a game that would have put them in field goal range to tie a game and send it to overtime. Don't sit here and complain to me about a call in the second quarter. I'm sorry, and especially a ticky-tack one. Get out of here, man.
It was unacceptable.
He's somebody I've never been a fan of, but I always respect his play. But he just gets on my nerves more and more and more every single year because you always talk about petty. You like to call people out for petty stuff. He does petty things like that. He's one of the most petty players in the NFL, and I'm tired of it.
I won't necessarily disagree with that. I think he and the case in point was him getting caught out on Twitter, and he was like, "Oh, read the rule book," and he was actually correct.
Yes,
he does understand the rule book, and he understands he does use things to his advantage.
I get it,
but it doesn't make it right. One, and that means the NFL.
They need to fix it. Yes, I agree. They need to fix it. They need to fix it. Yes.
There's the big problem. Okay, so
they need to fix it.
Okay,
totally.
Back to they need to fix it, which means let's get back to these officials because to me, I'm looking at the officials. I'm saying,
messed up.
Wait, time out. How do you not call something in that situation? Again, they were saying it was roughing the kicker, but it also was these other things. Wait, how? What?
The head of officials during the Monday night game literally admitted it was wrong.
That's a problem. So either these, like we've been saying for a couple weeks now, either these officials don't know the rules, or you need to add another official, which I think is ridiculous. I don't think that's going to solve anything because if these some bitches that are out here don't understand it, what's going to take another person out here that's going to understand it? I was joking. No, I'm not just saying for this play. I'm saying overall.
I know.
I don't know what it's going to take. These refs need to be full time or. I don't know what the answer is, but they need to get it right because it's getting worse and worse. And every single week we're talking about it more and more. We've been talking about it for a year.
Yes.
I'm going to take credit for this show because we've been talking about it a lot more than a lot of other networks have been talking about it.
We were on that train from the first episode we had.
But it's getting worse and worse and worse, and it's causing teams games. I don't care if it's my team. I don't care if it's your team. I don't care if it's teams that have nothing to do with us. It's not right, and they need to get together.
That whole Buffalo-Seattle game on Monday night is completely different.
It's unacceptable. When I look at we look at other leagues, we look at the NHL, the MLB, the NBA that has really cleaned up its act. They're starting to get together. So this is what I was talking about with you on Sunday when we were watching some games. Yeah. Maybe it's the commissioner. Yeah. I don't know.
See, I'm not.
Maybe it's the commissioner because he's the man in charge. He's the one that's laying down the law. So maybe it is him. Maybe he needs to make better decisions and make some changes. I don't know.
I'm not on the.
I know when the NBA made a change, they got better. So
I'm not on the. It's the commissioner change because on the side of that is the commissioners are run by the owners, and this is a complete ownership problem in the NFL. Look.
The owners don't make the rules.
No, but the owners control a lot of behind the scenes stuff. The owners don't make the rules, but they vote on what the rule changes are. They vote on the replays. The replay does. Do you know what I mean? All this goes between a panel of 32 owners. All these things. The whole rule book was put up in front of all these owners at one point. Not these owners, but owners of the NFL. Like owners control every aspect of this thing. Whether the commissioner, he's just the face. He's getting paid $12 million to get the pie in the face every single day of the week. So we can go on here, and he's going to keep getting, and that's why he gets the huge paycheck he does from these owners, because they know they're corrupt, and they know they're messing things up, and they understand that things are going, but it goes in their favor because they're always making the money, and they're not worried about it as long as they're making money. Now, I'm with you that the NBA and the MLB got better with new commissioners, but I just don't
I
think.
go without question.
But it also works because the players' unions in those get along with the owners a lot
the
better.
NBA Players Association doesn't get along with the league.
They got 50% of the money, like ever since.
They ended up agreeing,
right,
but
that's what I'm
they
saying.
don't.
Once
they largely don't agree.
Right now, but once they got that's all they want.
They probably agree the least.
Once they got that share, once they got that 50%, they're like best of friends. Really, I'm serious, man. That is such a big thing. Money talks more than anything else.
Right, it's definitely a better
The NFL
scenario, but it's still
NFL
not good. The NFL just has a bigger gap.
The NFL and the owners are starting to go in negotiations this year at some point.
Then you get together
for something that ends in 3 years because they don't think they're going to be able to get it done in those 3 years. I mean, that's how far apart they are.
Well, then you know what? And it's sacrilegious to say this, but then maybe the NFL Players Association needs to say, you know what? We're not going to play for half a year. And maybe we need to make some choices out here.
Well,
maybe we need to hit the man in their pockets and
disagree. That
get some changes.
Change the referee situation.
You heard it here first.
The thing that the NBA and the NHL does the best, and now the MLB has started to do just as well, is replays. They don't leave in the hands of the officials that are at the game. They leave it in the hands of somebody.
So you're saying we need more replays in the NFL?
No, I'm saying the NFL needs to handle they get the replays done so much quicker and efficiently. The way that the other sports do, because they are sent out to a different market, and that market doesn't, and then they just tell the official on the playing surface.
Well,
That's how it's been, and it usually takes a minute, 2 minutes maximum. Here in the NFL, we're having 5-6 minute delays.
I don't know what the hell the excuse was on Monday night, but that was
It
was one of the most bizarre things I can recall seeing in an NFL game. I was just dumbfounded standing there watching it. I was just
and they were bad all game. That play is the topper. The Richard Sherman play is the topper.
Get together, NFL. You're better than that. You're America's pastime at this point. But man, every week, every week I keep saying I hate the NFL, which I don't. I don't really mean it when I say it, but. Man, it seems like I keep adding more towards the dislike pile than I am towards the like pile at this point, and I'm just wondering the state years moving forward, where's the NFL going to be? Because I see why people are starting to just, you know what, I don't need to deal with this, I don't want to fuck with this, it's too much corruption, it's too much BS. I understand why ratings are starting to drop when you look at it like that.
Well, I think after the election, the ratings will be back up. I truly think that has the biggest thing to do with it.
Possibly.
Moving on. So I was right about a lot of things.
It's about to be a W.
Moving
Florida.
Moving on. I was right about a lot of things. This year I was right about the Cubs. I was right about the Cowboys going up to Green Bay and winning. I've now been right about Indianapolis going up to Green Bay and winning.
You were. I mean, out of those three, I will only give you the Cubs because that's the most impressive.
To keep the train rolling, right, I just wanted to bring that one up. Now,
as you should.
That was a very good game. I actually, good back and forth. The biggest thing that I wanted to bring up, Andrew Luck, after the game, was asked, they're going on a bye week next week, and this is just...
They need it.
We don't need to really go deep into this or anything. I just really like these comments from Luck. They said, "What are you going to do on your bye week?" And he said,
"Wait, I thought you said Green Bay was getting a bye week."
No, Indianapolis is.
Okay, I misheard you. Go ahead.
The Colts are. So they asked Andrew Luck, "What are you going to do on the bye week?" And he said, "We're going to look at ways to get better." And then he started walking away, and with a smile, and he was nodding his head, like he was shaking his head, and he turned around and he said, "And we're going to do just that, I think." And, literally, that's what I love about Andrew Luck. This guy eats, breathes, sleeps. Most of these teams on the bye week, they take a whole week off. They just go away. They go on vacation. They do things with their family. No, he said, we're going to go get better. And we're going to use that.
But sure.
Oh, players do it all the time. My favorite, okay, so, awesome part about living in 2016 and being 25 for not really understanding how to use the internet, like most 25-year-olds. Instagram, Twitter, all that.
Speak for yourself.
Instagram, Twitter, all that other kind of stuff, right? It keeps you kind of updated with these players. All the Eagles on their bye week, I saw with most of them, went to islands somewhere. I mean, I said Dallas players, man, I'm pretty sure Zeke was off partying somewhere in Miami for their bye week.
That's reckless.
They're humans, and they get a week off. They get an entire week off once a year in the middle of the season. I know, but they all do it. I mean,
sure.
Baseball players, it's really funny during the All-Star break.
They got 300 games in fucking years, so I mean...
During the All-Star break, the players who don't make it...
That's different. That's so different.
They leave on, because the last game's on Sunday, and then their next game's on Wednesday. They leave Sunday night, so they have Monday, Tuesday. and then their first game's Thursday, and they come back on Wednesday, and they all go to like islands and stuff like that. No, but it's the same thing.
It's not. There's like 3,000 games in baseball, so that makes sense.
Thing.
It's not even close.
You get a couple of days off from your job, and they go and do that.
You have 180 some games compared to like 16. 16, I'm gonna need you to relax and sit down and do what you need to do for your job. You got like 100 and whatever 80 games for baseball.
Cool that they all do that.
I understand you might need a little break.
I think it's cool that they all do that. But anyways, I think it's even cooler that Andrew Luck is all about he's going to literally probably lock himself in a room and just watch film on himself.
So you're saying he's going to Pennsylvania and go under a desk when he's on a date with his girl and study this tape?
I don't know if Andrew Luck goes on dates during football season.
Maybe that's why he's more of a success than Wentz.
It's a little early for us to be going there. Anyway,
so you act like Wentz is, or not Wentz, you act like Luck is the GOAT. I mean,
he's up there. He's the best young quarterback in the league.
Okay, so
right
there's
now.
nothing early about it.
No, I was thinking about Wentz. A little early for Wentz. You're saying if Wentz acted more like that, maybe he would be more like Luck. So it's a little early.
I know. All I heard about for like 5 weeks was how great Wentz was and how his preparation was and how dissing his girl out of date was cool.
He's 11 out of 10. All right, you remember that. Wentz is 11 out of 10.
He's a -8 out of 10.
Get it? Because he wears number 11. Anyway,
Philadelphia people.
Another team that I was right about was Oakland. That was a big win against Denver to take the lead in their division. It was in Oakland, so they have another game in Denver this year. Do you think Denver figures it out, the quarterback situation this year?
No, they don't have a quarterback situation.
That was rough. I mean,
they don't have a quarterback. There's nothing there.
Oakland's defense is not good.
Shout out to, what's his name?
Derek Carr?
No.
Trevor Siemian.
Shout out to Simeon just because he was decent for a couple weeks and he was holding his own. But now he's, like I was saying about the Philly and the Dallas situation, frankly, eventually it kind of just mellows out, and that's why it's like, okay, pump the brakes, relax. Eventually it just mellows out, and now we're seeing who he actually is, which is kind of this mediocre quarterback. And this is why Denver, as much as John Elway acts like he found his greatness and he wants to smile because he got this great kid, he was looking up until week 1 for a quarterback, and this is why, because in honesty, if you put a lie detector test on him, he'd say, you know what, I didn't think he was that man, and it's showing now because they don't have an offense.
Oakland's offense looked good against Denver's
phenomenal.
Defense.
Yeah, very good.
But the bigger concern for Denver is obviously going to be their offense. I mean, they need to figure out, they can't run the ball all that well. If they don't have a quarterback getting the ball to the receivers, which are their strength on their offense, is their alignment and their wide receivers, it's going to be a struggle as all ever for them.
That's what's so bad about Denver, dude. They have so many weapons at the wide receiver and tight end position. They need to get a substantial quarterback, and they just don't have that. So they might be looking in the offseason.
And before they look up, they're going to be having Denver and Kansas City right above them, and they're going to be drowning, and they're not going to be able to make those games up in the division. So they have to, just like the Eagles, they have half a season. There is upside to look at. Look at the season you've had to this point, especially with what you had. But the other end of it is look at the other teams in your division and how good those two other teams are playing. Even with Nick Foles at the helm for Kansas City, they're still going to play well. So you have to kind of, they're going to have to figure it out, the quarterback situation.
Denver's they were running away with first place, but it's getting to a point where they're kind of looking. I can't say it. I was going to say they're kind of looking like the team that I projected them be third in the division.
Yeah.
They might be second.
Yeah.
I might give them second.
You have to see what Kansas City or Oakland does the rest of the year, but it's going to be a fight between those three teams. It's going to be very interesting to see how it happens moving forward.
We got, 6-7 more weeks?
Yeah.
And it's going to balance itself out, and I think Denver's already hit that plateau, and I think despite how great their defense is, the offense is just holding too much back.
Before we get to our picks, I want to ask you really quick. The UFC has a big weekend coming.
Yes, they do.
And before we talk about their first ever time in Madison Square Garden, what about John Jones?
John Jones.
Update us on his rough situation.
This bum.
That's
very sensitive for what I actually want.
He could be the best fighter of all time.
He could. Yeah, he's definitely in that conversation.
That's sad.
So my man, he's been officially suspended for 8 years, they're saying? Because
1 year. Retroactive to last July.
My man, gets to a point where, second chance, we talk about second chances a lot on the show. But when you get the second chance or the third chance and you continuously F it up, then it becomes, okay, you know what, you're just a scumbag and you don't deserve any more chances. I feel like at this point, especially Dana White, considering how he is and how he doesn't take any shit, I feel like Dana White, he's at a point where he's going to be like, I'm not about you
They
anymore.
are
I'm
known
not
for their
about
second
your
chances, but-
situation. So I'm gonna need you to just step aside and be on the back burner. Because honestly, when he came back, we watched the fight together.
Yeah,
When he came back for that fight, it wasn't all that impressive. Second fight was a little better, but granted, he was a name at one point, and as you said, he could be one of the greatest, if not the greatest fighters of all time in UFC's history. At this point, it's not worth the risk because you're too much of a fuck and you make stupid decisions. So why? There's too many stars. There's so many more stars that have been growing while you've been around and since you've been suspended and gone that we don't need you. And I feel like that's how UFC is going to handle this. They don't need him. So what? We got another comeback coming in a year from now. We're going to be talking about another John Jones comeback.
Yeah, next July. Is that what they're...
And what's he going to do? F up again? Like they don't need that.
They're known for their second chances, but if he continues to do this, I don't see them continuing to give him much more comeback chances and opportunities.
He doesn't deserve it at this point. At this point, it's you as a person. You're a scumbag, and you're costing us money as a company. If I'm UFC, I'm saying you're costing us money.
Now,
you don't deserve it.
Someone from the UFC has been promoting the biggest card in the history of the UFC.
It's definitely up there.
In Madison Square Garden
this
weekend. It's 207, right?
205.
205.
205. 207 is Rousey. Which, by the way, we were talking about.
Yeah.
Why the hell is the Rousey fight on like a Friday night in December?
Yeah.
Because 206 is in between there. So sometime, I forget, I don't know if it's late November, I'm assuming it's like early December.
Oh wow, I didn't even think
it's
about
like the 201 situation.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about it either until I looked at the schedule earlier today.
Huh,
that's exactly what's happening.
That's interesting.
That's why the Rousey fight got put in between holidays, so they're like, oh shoot, we can't do Saturday because, we got New Year's Eve, we got Christmas Eve, or New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Right. Both of those. So where do we put the Rousey fight? But then we got 204 in between these, and it's just horrible playing. Why stop with the pay-per-views, UFC? Just have one and have 204 be the Rousey and whatever the hell else is on 204, and make that 204, and then have 205 in January. Why the hell did it's just like in June or July when he had the two pay-per-views? It's not necessary. You're oversaturating the product. So stupid.
Dana White came out
fudge
and said he thinks that Rousey is a bigger superstar than Conor McGregor.
Agreed.
Conor McGregor has higher pay-per-view numbers, though. More people tune in for him.
Barely.
But I mean,
the numbers are marginal.
His lowest fight, though, still outweighs her biggest fight.
You know why she's a bigger superstar? Because not only...
She's more marketable, I'll give him that.
Well, yeah, that goes without question. I wasn't going that route, but thank you for making another point for me. Number two, she's transcended the women's division in general. She's drawn people, me.
Yeah.
Guilty. I didn't give a damn about UFC until I was working at a sports bar and had the luxury of seeing all of our UFC fights. And then I was like, you know what? Who's this girl? Because she's a badass. And that's when I started paying more attention to UFC.
Right.
So I can see it. She's more marketable. One, she's a woman, so that goes without question. Looks play into that is what it is.
Yeah.
Two, she dominated a section of the sport that was never dominated before. Three, because of the first two, she has that Hollywood appeal more so than the McGregor. McGregor's a huge star. That goes without question. Clearly, the pay-per-view buys would show that. But I think when I see a superstar, I would definitely say Ronda's number one. That goes without question. There's no competition. She is a superstar amongst stars.
I think it was just
big
a shot from him to Conor McGregor because I brought up the word petty earlier, and I think he's petty. I think that was his too. He's mad at McGregor for how McGregor pushes him in negotiations and that makes things hard on him. And I didn't like the comments. I'm not a fan of McGregor. I think I like Rousey better, and if I had to pick a reason of why I started watching, I think Rousey was part of it. Used to just come over and watch it with you. You were one of the first people I knew that were into it, so I just started watching it because
it was because of her.
Right, and I have a couple of other friends who watch it. So I would go over to their house and I would watch it, but I've never really been huge into it.
Our inner circle, honestly, got big into it, frankly, because of me,
right,
but it was because of Rousey.
Right.
We all got
started watching it.
into the Rousey situation, which grew to the other areas.
I only went to
into the McGregors, into the John Joneses, and it was like, the sport's actually like enjoyable. But Rousey was the foundation for the base of at least within our inner circle of friends.
I have a family friend who orders all the pay-per-views, and he has fight parties. for all of them. So like I would go over there and I would watch it, but I would only do that because all of them were doing it. I would drink, party with some people.
But
like,
you weren't like engaging to it. You were
I
just
started
watching
coming over
people
here
fighting.
and I was actually engaging to it. I understood it. I picked it up over there. I understood. I started picking up the fighters. My first ever McGregor fight, I was over there. I watched.
Yeah.
I picked up the fighters. I started picking up the storylines and understanding who's who and what's what and how this goes down. But I really started intently watching it over here. And you're right. You started doing that because of Rousey. So in a roundabout way, she's definitely the reason why most people I know watch it. But still, it was just, I thought White was a little just kind of coming at him just because he could.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. I actually agree with you. I think anytime Dana White can take a shot, especially at McGregor, I think he's going to do it. In case in point, he just did that. I saw it. I think that's hilarious. We're watching the election as we're doing this, so don't mind us. You probably see my eyes go there about like a million times throughout the show just because I'm trying to pay attention to the election. Anyway, regardless, I do think that's funny. I saw that a little bit ago and I was like, oh, really? But anyway, I think Dana, because he's that much of a fuck, he will take any opportunity he can at McGregor, especially at this point. He's still salty about the 200 situation, as he should be as an owner of a big organization. So if it was a shot, I don't hate him for it.
They're going to have huge pay-per-view numbers this weekend, though.
How about, yes, number one. Number two, how about y'all just get them on the same card? It was supposed to be 200, granted.
Nice. That would be nice.
Okay, now moving forward, just get them on the same. Rousey only saying she only got a couple more left, supposedly, which that's a whole other story I don't want to get into.
But from the start, I don't want to get into that either.
But then get them on the same card, make that money back, do what you gotta do, Dana White. Stop being a little petty bitch.
I agree. Now, something I do want to get into is picks for this week. Last week I won 11-2. Felt good.
You get my nerves.
What'd you do?
9-4. I was actually kind of proud of myself considering how this year is going. I was 9-4, dude.
So I am now 75, 56-2 on the season.
That makes you 67, 63-2.
Okay, so I'm doing it.
That makes me. I'm so annoyed because I actually saw my picks. I was like, "Word!" I actually got one up on you this week.
I'll take the 11-2.
I blame Philadelphia. They're at least one of them.
That was getting Oakland. Well, I picked Philadelphia as well with you.
I got Oakland.
I got Oakland. Oh, you picked Oakland?
Yes, I did.
I picked Indianapolis to beat Green Bay.
It was Green Bay. It was Philly.
I picked Philly though.
It was Indianapolis. It was Philly. It was what was the other one?
My loss was Philly, and my other loss was. Oh, I picked Tennessee to beat San Diego.
Yeah, which I'll take that one. But the other two.
Well, which one? What you have?
Those were the three. It was Philly.
4 losses.
Oy vey.
Right.
Yeah, it was the Lions and the Vikings.
Oh, okay. I picked the Lions.
I'll take that one too. But the Eagles and the.
Gotcha. The Giants.
Eagles and Come on, man.
Okay, so I went 11-2. You went 9-4. Not bad. Not bad.
Considering how the year's going, that's actually great for me. But I'm actually real salty because I thought you did worse.
Thursday Night Football, they've started to, on these Color Rush games, make a lot of them divisional games, which has been a little better. Last week wasn't any better, but it was only because Atlanta put up 50 on Tampa Bay. That's more Tampa Bay not playing well than it being a bad Thursday night game.
Heard that.
This week we have the winless Cleveland Browns taking on Baltimore Ravens, who came off of a huge win. It's in Baltimore. I'm taking the Ravens. I mean, I told you I might not be able to pick the Browns to win a game this year. That's sad. I don't see them winning one. I don't.
I'm starting to feel you on that one.
2 weeks ago was their best chance to win a game all season, they say. That's not good.
That's what I said.
That's not good.
It's not looking good.
I'm going to see the Atlanta Falcons take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Atlanta just put up 50 last week, as I said. They are playing the best football they possibly can. This is one of those games the Eagles always show up against really good teams, and they usually win these games, right? I'm going this time. So, realistically, you would think they're not going to... I can't go against the Eagles. Of course I'm going to pick the Eagles, but... Look, realistically, Atlanta should win this game. And I fully expect Atlanta to win this game. But I got the Eagles.
I'm actually going with Atlanta. That's cute.
It's because I'm wrong.
The actual birds, is that what you're saying? I get it.
Get it?
You get it? I'm actually going with Atlanta, but in saying that, I can actually see a situation where Philly would get the victory. I'm not going to be surprised by it. I think they're due for victory. And at home, I think they're due for a little shocker against Atlanta. I think it could happen, but I'm going with Atlanta. Matty Ice, I'm taking him on the road. Unfortunately, you're going to that, so for your sake, I hope they win, but for my sake and
fun fact,
for reality, I'm going with Atlanta.
Fun fact, Matt Ryan is from Philadelphia.
Cute.
I have Julio Jones on a fantasy team, so I guess I'll be able to watch him ball out. Hopefully not, but probably on our defense. So moving on from the game that I'm going to, Denver taking on New Orleans. This was hard for me. New Orleans is playing really well lately.
Yeah, it was
Denver
hard for me too.
Hasn't been playing well. I actually took New Orleans even though their defense isn't any good. They've been playing a lot better, especially against bad offenses. It's at home. New Orleans' offense has been moving the ball really well. They played really well at the end of the game against the Seahawks. I can't go against Drew Brees and them Saints right now, even though I didn't believe at all in them in the beginning of the year, and I was huge on Denver's train, but I got to take the Saints.
This is kind of sacrilegious for me because I always say I'm going with Breezes, but in this situation, like you said, it was a tough game.
Yeah,
I'm going with Denver just because their defense. I think as great as Drew Brees is, I think that Denver's defense is going to just be too much for the Saints offense. So I'm going with Denver. But I'm not going to be surprised.
Houston taking on Jacksonville. This was a hard one for me as well. I actually took Houston and Bill O'Brien, but I think Jacksonville has been playing a lot better on offense lately than they were in the middle of the year. I got Houston winning though.
I'm going with Houston. I think you give far too much credit to Jacksonville. Houston's rolling a little better. They're looking much better, actually, than Jacksonville is. I'm going with Houston.
Minnesota taking on Washington. Kirk Cousins has played really well at home. Washington as a whole has played really well at home. I think Minnesota's defense needs to bounce back. That was one of the worst weeks that they've had. Usually it's on their offense. Usually those losses are on their offense. Their defense had a really bad fourth quarter and overtime last week against Detroit. I'm taking Minnesota to bounce back because I don't think Washington's offense is all that strong in general.
I mean, that's not shocking. I'm actually taking Minnesota as well. Their offense needs to get together. Let's just put that out there. But Washington's offense and their defense is just even if they're at home, I'm not taking them. I'm going with, on paper, a stronger team in Minnesota.
Chicago going to Tampa Bay. I struggle with this one as well. I know I'm saying that a lot this week so far, but with the way Cutler played against Minnesota, with the way that Chicago looked, I really think Chicago might be able to... Tampa Bay did not look good at all against Atlanta, but I think they bounced back. I got Tampa Bay and Jameis Winston winning. They beat the teams that they usually should. This is a team that I think they should. I got them.
Absolutely. They're a much better team. I'm going Tampa Bay. I'm surprised this is a struggle for you because Winston is one of your wet dream quarterbacks, so I'm going with that. I'm going with Tampa Bay.
Nick Foles taking on Cam Newton in the powerhouse quarterback game for Kansas City versus Carolina. No? Okay. I'm taking Carolina, though. That's very hard for me to do. Kansas City's played really well over the last 20 games. Carolina needs to just continue to win. It needs to continue to win. And Cam was that guy to do it for them last year. This is one of those games that I know it's early in the season, but they just need to continue to win. I got Carolina winning. It's at home.
I got Carolina as well. I don't think that they're on track, but I just think that at home, they're just going to squeak it out.
Especially against Nick Foles.
Right. In that situation, against a team that I don't buy regardless of who's the quarterback, I know they're playing so well and blah, 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 but I just don't feel them. So with that aspect, I'm going Carolina.
A team I don't buy in but has a really good quarterback. Green Bay taking on Tennessee. I'm taking Green Bay. They bounce back well. They always have. Aaron Rodgers does. I'm taking Green Bay to beat Tennessee, but Tennessee's offense... even in the loss this week, Mariota threw a really bad interception late, but even in the loss this week, their offense looked good overall. Green Bay's defense does not look good, doesn't look all that good. I'm still taking Green Bay because they bounced back well, but I wouldn't be too shocked to see Tennessee pull out the victory.
Tennessee, their offense has definitely been looking good, especially their running game, but you're probably going to say you already know this, but surprising to me, Green Bay is actually number one against the rush. I was actually surprised to find that out. So I'm going Green Bay just because they have the better quarterback situation. It's more stable, and because of their ability to shut down the rush, which that's all Tennessee leans on. So I would think Green Bay gets that W because of that.
I didn't know they were number one, but I knew they were top five.
That's very shocking to me.
Well,
they allow 76 yards a game.
Yeah. I don't think they they've only allowed one 100-yard rusher if I'm not mistaken, Zeke. So
I would have never guessed that.
I only found that out during the Dallas game though, because I was very shocked as well when I found it out.
Speaking of, Rodgers needs to get some help on offense. He's averaging like 35 attempts a game for the year. That's way too much, especially recently. It's like
their offensive line is
40.
also not playing all that well.
He needs some help up there. So offensively, they need to get together. I'm still going Green Bay.
A team that doesn't have a good offense at all, that is just refusing to put their rookie quarterback Jared Goff in.
Stupid.
LA going on the road to take on the Jets. They're flying across country. I got the Jets, but this is a game versus two not that good teams.
Jets. They need to get, LA needs to get their quarterback in there. Stop playing.
Miami taking on San Diego. San Diego squeaked one out last week. I don't see them doing it again. I think Miami got this. I'm taking the Dolphins.
This is actually a tough one for me, but I'm going with San Diego just because Miami doesn't win on the road. I was going to go with Miami until I found it out. Miami just doesn't play well on the road, so I'm going with San Diego.
A team that their offensive line travels and plays well no matter where it is. Dallas taking on Pittsburgh. I'm taking the Cowboys. I don't know what Ben's going to look like. I thought he looked really bad going into the game against Baltimore from the week, just from a little bit of footage I saw, and then he looked pretty bad up until the fourth quarter against Baltimore. I'm taking Dallas. I think their offense can keep the ball moving, especially on the ground, keep Ben off the field even if he is looking good. Dallas to do what they do.
Honestly, if you had asked me at the beginning of the year, I went with Pittsburgh, but I'm going with Dallas just because of the fact that Pittsburgh, they don't have a running game. They're 25th. They're 25th in the league with rushing, which shout out to Bell. I mean, can you show up for the year? I was talking about Gurley last week. Yeah. Can you show up, Bell?
How about Gurley? A little better of the week. Didn't he have 100? He had 100 plus and 2 T's. 139, 2 T's.
I honestly don't know.
He had a big week.
Oh, well then he must have watched the show. So maybe Bell. Well, don't watch the show. I don't want you to know this. But we're 13th against the rush, so I think that we can shut them down. I'm going Dallas. It's hard. It is hard because on paper, Dallas shouldn't win this, but we're rolling and Pittsburgh isn't. So go Dallas.
San Francisco taking on Arizona. I got the Cardinals.
Cardinals. Good talk.
Seattle taking on New England. Flying across country. This is going to be a fun Sunday night game. Unfortunately, I'll be coming back from the Eagles game, so I won't be able to watch it, but I might tape it and watch it on Monday because I have off on Monday. I'm taking Tom Brady.
Like I kept saying, I'm going Tom Brady and the Patriots until further notice.
What's going on with Seattle's defense? They didn't look all that good against Buffalo's offense. They didn't look all that good against the Saints' offense. They're not playing that well.
They missed Josh Norman.
Seattle?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
It's interesting, right? They're not playing well?
No, they haven't been playing well. They lost so many people on defense, it doesn't surprise me.
I think New England's offense is going to rack up a lot of points against them. I really do. New Orleans just couldn't put in the end zone, but they scored on their last 6 possessions. Buffalo scored on, I think, 3 of their first 5 possessions. So, not a good stretch there for Seattle. The Monday night game is Cincinnati taking on the Giants. I got the Bengals, even though the Giants are favored.
I'm going with the Giants. I had the Bengals listed on here, but honestly, I just don't believe in the Bengals. The Bengals are so.
I believe less in the Giants.
They're so. Well, I get that.
They had one gifted to them against the Eagles.
I get that because I don't believe in the Giants either. But the Bengals are just. After the Cardinals, they're probably the second walking disappointment. So I'm going with the Giants.
I got the Bengals. Gonna be a fun week. Hopefully the Eagles win because I'm going to the game. Big game for Dallas this week. Basketball news, anything? Your Lakers playing well?
Lakers beating Golden State. We're the Golden State Warriors killer. I hear KD's coming to LA because we beat them.
Steph Curry, 131 straight games making a three-pointer and didn't make one. French Montana made a three-pointer that night in the Staples Center.
He's a bum. Steph Curry's a bum.
Curry did.
He's over it.
Well, he did back it up with like 13 threes.
Yeah. Now he has the NBA record in the game, and it's like, oh. But I still hear KD's coming over because they suck.
Surprising fact of the day, Reggie Miller, his most threes in a game were 8. He did it twice. Right? Never hit double digits. That's weird.
And Steph just broke Kobe's record.
Ray Allen never hit double digits either. Isn't that weird?
Kobe did. Well, Kobe hit, I think it was 9.
No, Kobe
Kobe had the record.
Kobe had 13.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 12 or 10. 10. He had double digits. Kobe
Somewhere
had double
in there.
digits.
Yeah,
I know Kobe
right.
had double digits.
I'm surprised Reggie only had 8 though.
Right?
But he did it twice, so it was like,
Shocking, yeah.
How many times has Steph done it?
How about yeah, like I think 4 or 5. How about and I think twice was in the playoffs. How about LeBron not being a scorer but being in the top 10 scoring of all time? That's no. They say he's not a scorer. He's in the top 10 scoring of all time. That's impressive.
I could score too if I could walk like 8 steps.
Well, everybody in the NBA can do that nowadays. So
He's a catalyst of that.
we'll see.
You know, we see. I've seen it. He walks. They don't call travels in the NBA anymore. There's no such thing. Watch Shaq in the floor. They prove it every week.
I agree. Well, there's a curse button.
And it's because, yeah, that's done a whole lot. KG, and they got Rasheed Wallace out there, which was miserable.
I know.
It was miserable.
I agree.
She was uncomfortable. She's not meant for TV. KG, he's a talker. I know you hate him, but he's a talker. He can talk. So we gotta see what happens.
I think he'll be okay on that show. He fits in with those guys, and I like the show.
I got to see. Well, everybody does that. Let's not even talk about ESPN and how. Okay, you know what? Yes, let's talk about ESPN. Let's talk about how they got Michelle Beadle to be on their show. First of all, apparently the NBA is her specialty. I've been trying to figure out what her specialty is because she's been on that show that nobody watches.
She used to be a Sean, or what's his name? Rashad. What's his name? What's that guy? Sean. Shit, for NBA TV. He used to do the TNT so well.
Ahmad
Rashad, yes.
Yeah.
She used to be his sidekick or whatever on the
here.
NBA Heat in the morning. Do you remember that NBA show in the morning on Saturdays?
Yes.
She used to be his sidekick on that.
Like I was talking to my mom about this. Yeah. They couldn't get Rachel Nichols. They could have get.
You know, I both know I'm a Rachel Nichols fan.
They could have get Rachel Nichols. They could have get
Carrie Champion.
They could have get.
She's my favorite.
What's her name? Chicago girl that I was talking about before.
Oh yeah, Rebecca or whatever her name is.
No, not Rebecca.
How about Jamel Hill?
They could get Jamel. They could have get Cassidy Hubbard. They could have get people that actually care about the NBA to do the show. Now they got Michelle only has one show. She doesn't really do anything else, so let's just throw her on there.
I'm biased against Michelle Beadle. We got no Twitter.
Nobody likes Michelle Beadle. So she's a bum. Speaking of the NBA, really quick, and ESPN. You know Chris Pastrana, he's out. So I guess ESPN lost their NBA sources.
I'm not really sure why though.
Because everybody's going to Fox. Fox is like, I'll take your leftovers.
No, but why is he out at ESPN?
No, I didn't know this until this week. I didn't know until it was a fluke. I just found out. I don't know because everybody's going to Fox because ESPN's too.
I had a hard time. Also, Mark Cuban kicked
What do I care? I don't have a contract. ESPN's too corporate, too Disney. They're not allowed to do what they want. Everybody comes out and say that when they leave.
It's funny. Dan Patrick was actually saying that he wanted to do non-ESPN people. He always wanted to interview non-ESPN people because they weren't under contract with ESPN, and ESPN wasn't okay with that.
Shocking.
When he had his sports show there.
Shocking.
Yeah. I mean, well, ESPN's always going to be ESPN. We know this.
I know I'm watching.
There's some good aspects of it. There's some bad aspects to it. There's a lot more.
I can't name any good anymore. Chris Berman.
I like their radio now. I like because Dan Patrick did push the envelope that their radio was actually pretty good. Look, I'm not a huge Mike and Mike fan, but I like Mike and Mike.
PTI, Mike and Mike, like Cassie Hubbard, and Rachel Nichols. That's about all I care about.
I like Rachel Nichols. I like the Levitard show, and I like Russillo. I really like Russillo. Danny's okay. I don't mind Danny, but Russillo, I'm a huge fan of Russillo. His takes on the NBA are really good. Anyways, we could go all day. Thank you for watching JD Sports. I'm Jarrett Hood. That's Dwight Garfield.
Shout out to the leader in sports.
Us?